Hi, good morning, class. Wanted to talk a little bit about the graphing project for today. So, for the ecological footprint, obviously, you guys have each done your own personal look at what your footprint is and what it could be. And what I wanted to do today is to have you guys look at what other countries' average ecological footprint is and graph them against each other. So, you're each going to be getting a sheet like this today in class, and it's going to be one that is, or like this, and the information up here on each country is going to be listed on the Canvas website on this assignment. So you're going to take the number of Earths rounded, all right, so that's kind of made to be more even numbers if you're trying to check my sources here. And you're going to take those, write them into this table. And then you're going to work on labeling the graphs, labeling the graph and the axes, as well as giving this a title. So the title, first and foremost, should be describing what you're trying to graph. And so with this, I'm not going to tell you specifically how to title it because I want you guys to try and be creative here. But think about what this graph is trying to represent. And hopefully before the end of this, you'll get a better sense of that as well. On this side, we have the y-axis. So the y-axis is always going to be vertical. On the horizontal axis, we call this the x-axis. All right, so you can go ahead and label those. And then I want you guys to give each of the axes a title. Now, the things that you're supposed to be graphing against are going to be the ecological footprint, in other words, the number of Earths that each require. So the number of Earths, and then on the bottom, you're going to be labeling the country. So just for instance here, let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So along this side right here, where you have the vertical columns, each spot down here is going to be for a different country. And as you actually add different countries in, all right, there I think are 10 total. And so you're going to add them with a bar in between them. So the first country we go here, skip a bar. Second country here, skip a bar. And that's just to give you a little bit more room to write. Then what you're going to do is come up with a scale for each of these boxes. If you look back at your information in this chart, looks like we go from about half of a footprint all the way up to 5. So you need to come up with a scale by counting the number of boxes here. And as you count these number of boxes, how much does each box represent? And since this vertical axis, this y-axis, is going to be for counting the number of Earths that each country uses on average, all right, it needs to eventually have 5 up at the very top here and 0 down at the bottom. And then in between, this might be 0.25 or it might be 0.5, depending on how you choose to scale this. I said before actually that this should be 5 at the top. That kind of depends on how you want to choose to do your scale. If you choose every box to represent half of an Earth, then this would be 1 Earth. This would be 1.5, this would be 2, this would be 2.5, and so on and so forth. But the difficulty with that is it's going to be a little bit harder to see the difference between each of these groups. It'll be a little bit easier if you choose a unit that's going to separate things out a little bit more. Just my suggestion. So you have this, and like I said, you're going to label this axis. Then you're going to make sure to label this axis with each of the countries listed above. All right. Also need to include your class average down here. So in other words, we have the United States average, but then the one bit of information that you're going to have to add from your data sheet is the class average. Once you've done that, you're going to fill in each of the columns with the country's information. Make sure you fill it in accurately. If you have 4 marked over here somewhere on this side, and you have a country that goes up to 4, make sure you mark to that point. Once you're done with that, you're going to take a picture of this. Make sure that you have come up with a title for it. Remember, look at what we are trying to graph. We're trying to look at the ecological footprint for all these different countries. So come up with a title that relates to that. And then you're going to take a picture, submit that to Canvas, and you can hang on to the sheet if you have a physical copy, or you can submit the submit the electronic copy if that's what you're working off of. If you have any questions, guys, reach out and let me know. Thanks.